In the movie The Danish Girl, main character Lily asks wife Gerda, "Am I pretty enough? I'll never be pretty as you." I feel like that line really helps embody the beauty of this film. One of the reasons I chose to watch The Danish Girl as my final film is because not only is it a beautifully filmed masterpiece, but this movie is a representation of acceptance, love, and just always staying true to yourself. The Danish Girl is a movie about two Danish painters married in the 1920s. One day, the wife Gerda asks her husband Einar to help her pose for one of her paintings as a lady. Slowly, the painting earned Gerda more fame, and he needed to pose for her as a female more often. All throughout Gerda's success, Einar began to realize just how much he enjoyed acting as a female in every aspect, from wearing female clothing to going on dates with males. And eventually, throughout the film, we see Einar's character transform from male Einar to female Lily, and the struggles that their marriage had to endure to make it through such a colossal lifestyle change. Eventually, Lily ends up going into surgery and becomes the first male ever to undergo sex reassignment surgery to become a female. There are a few themes and techniques represented in The Danish Girl. One of the most prominent themes I noticed was acceptance. Acceptance was represented in both of the main characters. Einar eventually realized that he was, in fact, happier as a woman. And once he accepted that and started seeking help, it showed that staying true to yourself will make it through anything in the end. Gerda also had to learn to accept the fact that her husband was changing. Although at first it was difficult for her to accept, and she kept calling Lily's requests, like borrowing her nightgown, little games. Towards the end of the film, she was right beside him on his hospital bed. Gerda eventually accepted that she was losing her husband so he could become a woman, and she still loved him. With all that being said, another theme to this film is love. Throughout all the struggles of finding Lily's true identity, and not to mention affairs on both ends of the relationship, Lily and Gerda ended up sticking together until the very end on Lily's deathbed. Their love conquered it all. And last but not least, one of the techniques that these filmmakers used to make this film just that much more powerful is the cinematography in itself. In the beginning of the film, the the filmmakers used more dark and muted tones, and even the paintings were more dark and barren. Then towards the end of the film, I noticed that even after surgery and when Lily was sick, they used brighter colors and they've showed more vibrant paintings, almost as if they were showing the world through Lily's eyes. Once she was slowly becoming herself, it started showing. It it's very obvious to me why the Danish Girl passed the Bechdel test. All of the main characters, Gerda and Einar, eventually Lily, all have feminist characteristics to them. For example, in the beginning of the movie, Gerda was painting a portrait of a very wealthy man. He was sitting right in front of her, and then suddenly, when he moved to try and see her painting so far, Gerda put him right back in his place and told him to sit back down. And he listened. Especially in the 1920s, a woman telling a man what to do, let alone the man listening to her, is unheard of. Like that doesn't happen. In a way, Gerda's character is almost even more feministic than Einar's character, who is a man trying to become a woman. In addition, Gerda is also simply more dominant in the relationship. She takes charge in most situations regarding her marriage and never lets anyone walk all over her. Even the doctor who insulted her husband after the radiation treatment wasn't safe from her. She did not accept his comments about her husband. As for the other main character, I feel that it is feministic in itself that Einar was willing to accept the fact that he no longer wants to be a man and wants to live life as a woman instead. It is beautiful how this movie represented Lily slowly discovering who she really is, from her experiences in the warehouse full of clothes and observing the characteristics of other women. Lily went from being a prominent, well-known male painter to a delicate and frail female, because that's how Lily felt she really was deep down inside. With that being said, while Lily was acting frail and delicate, because of what Lily was going through at this point in time was so foreign and she was the first person to experience this openly, she was in fact extremely brave, facing potentially terrifying consequences. That in itself is a very feministic trait. I also find it feministic that the Danish Girl showed these two characters finding their sexualities, and the affairs with Hans and Hendrik helped show that. Hans coming into Gerda's life helped show that even though Gerda tried to stick with Lily until the very end, Gerda was looking for a relationship with a straight man. At the end of the film, Gerda and Lily even had a separator in bed. Even though Hendrik and Lily's character parted ways in the end as well, it helped show that Lily was in fact a straight female looking for a straight man, and Hendrik's character did not fit that bill as a gay male. It shows that taking a front seat and showing who you really are is one of the most powerful things you can do. And as a woman, even though it may be difficult at times, it is most definitely possible. And now I hope that you can see why I chose this film for my final and why it's one of my all-time favorites. Not only is it a beautifully filmed masterpiece, but this film is a representation of acceptance, love, and just staying true to yourself. This true story of the Danish Girl is an eye-opening film that shows what will help conquer what seems like near impossible feats.